The History of England, A Journey Through Time. The arrival of the Celts, c. 500 BC. Long before the Romans or the Anglo-Saxons, Britain was home to the Celts. These warrior tribes, skilled in metalwork and agriculture, arrived from mainland Europe, bringing with them their languages, traditions, and a deep connection to nature. They lived in hill forts, practiced druidism, and formed loose tribal confederations. Though they left no written records, their influence on Britain remains strong, from place names to folklore that still echoes through the land. The Romans arrive in Britain, 55 BC. The year is 55 BC. Julius Caesar and his Roman legions set foot on the shores of Britain for the first time. Though his invasion is brief and largely symbolic, it signals Rome's growing interest in the island. A century later, in 43 AD, Emperor Claudius orders a full-scale conquest. The Roman army, with its disciplined legions and superior engineering, begins to transform Britain into a province of the empire. The Roman conquest and the rise of Londinium, 1st century AD. Over the next few decades, the Romans establish roads, fortresses, and settlements, the most significant of which is Londinium, the foundation of modern London. Britain becomes an integral part of the empire, with Roman law, culture, and technology reshaping daily life. Bathhouses, amphitheaters, and even central heating appear, while Latin becomes the language of administration and trade. But not all Britons accept Roman rule. Boudicca's rebellion, 61 AD. One of the fiercest challenges to Roman authority comes from Boudicca, queen of the Iceni. Following the mistreatment of her people, she leads a massive uprising, burning Londinium to the ground and striking fear into the heart of the empire. Despite her early victories, the rebellion is eventually crushed. Boudicca chooses death over capture, and Rome tightens its grip on Britain, reinforcing its military presence. The spread of Christianity and the end of Roman Britain, 4th to 5th century. As Rome prospers, a new force begins to spread across the empire, Christianity. In Britain, missionaries introduce the faith, and Latin, the language of the church, takes deeper root. But by the 5th century, Rome is crumbling. Barbarian invasions and internal strife force the empire to abandon Britain, leaving the island vulnerable to new invaders from across the sea. The Anglo-Saxon invasions and the birth of England, 5th to 7th century. With Rome gone, the Anglo-Saxons, Germanic tribes from modern-day Germany and Denmark, arrive in waves. They push the native Britons westward, establishing kingdoms like Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria. It is in this period that the name Engleland, England, first appears, derived from the Angles. The old Roman towns fall into decay, but the newcomers bring their own traditions, language, and warrior culture. Pope Gregory sends Augustine, 597 AD. Christianity, which had faded after the Roman withdrawal, returns with full force when Pope Gregory I sends Augustine to convert the Anglo-Saxons. King Ethelbert of Kent is the first to embrace the new faith, paving the way for churches and monasteries that become centers of learning. Latin flourishes once again, and a new religious order helps unify the fragmented kingdoms. The Venerable Bede and the Written History of England, 8th century. In Northumbria, a monk named Bede, later known as the Venerable Bede, writes the ecclesiastical history of the English people, the first comprehensive history of England. He introduces the modern dating system based on the birth of Christ and describes the earth as a sphere, centuries before it is widely accepted. His work cements the idea of an English identity even before the land is united under one king. The Viking raids and the Danelaw, 9th century. A new enemy arrives from the north, the Vikings. These Norse warriors raid coastal settlements, striking fear across England. Some come to plunder, while others stay to conquer. By the late 9th century, they establish the Danelaw, a vast territory where Viking law prevails. But one king refuses to surrender. King Alfred the Great versus the Vikings. King Alfred of Wessex fights back. He fortifies towns, builds a navy, and defeats the Vikings in battle. His victories lead to a fragile peace, and over time, the English reabsorb the Viking territories, laying the foundation for a united England. The Norman Conquest and the Battle of Hastings, 1066. In 1066, England is thrown into chaos. King Edward the Confessor dies without an heir, and rival factions claim the throne. Harold Godwin's son, the last Anglo-Saxon king, faces William of Normandy at the Battle of Hastings. The Normans, disciplined and well-armed, defeat Harold's army. With Harold slain, William the Conqueror becomes King of England. He introduces the feudal system, builds castles across the land, and commissions the Domesday Book, a survey of his new kingdom. The Anglo-Saxon era is over. The rise of medieval England and the 100 Years' War. The following centuries see England grow in power. Kings and barons vie for control, leading to the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, a landmark in the fight for individual rights. England and France engage in the 100 Years' War, a conflict that sees victories, defeats, and the rise of the legendary Joan of Arc. The Renaissance, Shakespeare, and the Age of Exploration, 16th century. As England moves into the Renaissance, literature and science flourish. Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales sets the stage, but it is William Shakespeare who immortalizes the English language. Meanwhile, England begins exploring the world, laying the foundations for what will become the British Empire. The Union of Scotland, Ireland, and England. The history of England is also the history of the British Isles. Scotland, Ireland, and Wales each have their own struggles with English rule. In 1707, the Acts of Union formally unite England and Scotland into Great Britain. Ireland remains a separate kingdom until 1801, when it is absorbed into the United Kingdom, though tensions between Ireland and England persist, leading to eventual independence for the Republic of Ireland in the 20th century. The legacy of England. From the Celts to the Normans, from Shakespeare to the Industrial Revolution, England has shaped the world in countless ways. Its language, laws, and culture continue to influence billions today. This is the story of England, a land of warriors, scholars, and visionaries whose legacy endures. England's impact extends to political thought and systems. The Magna Carta, signed in 1215, limits royal power. Parliament's evolution establishes a model for representative government. This system influences democracies worldwide. Cultural impact. English literature, from Shakespeare to Austen, captivates global audiences. Its music, from classical to rock, resonates across cultures. The English language itself becomes a global lingua franca. This facilitates communication and cultural exchange worldwide.